So now we got an insight into how Winder is working with supply chains and why it's important. I would like to invite the other panelists on stage. So we'll start with Kaspars Rožkalns, CEO of UPB NAMS. I'd like to invite Matīss Sīviņš, Regional Director at Phazerbreak Coatings. Please welcome Anni Hartikainen, Association of the Estonian Maritime Industry. Emil Moen, CEO and Managing Partner of Energy Innovation. The last speaker, Aleksejs Maļinovskis, Director at Novikontas Training Center. And our moderator for the panel, Tiina-Maria Araja, Maritime, Autonomy and Business Research Center. Welcome.
Hello, good afternoon, and welcome to our panel discussion. This is really exciting for me. I think I have wanted to do this for a few years already. And I've been talking to people and everybody thinks that it's a good idea. And finally, we are here. We have a great panel today. I have a clock here that says we have 44 minutes. So we'll get to it. But before it, I will do a little call to action. We don't want just to talk. I'm very much about also doing it, putting the words to actions. So there will appear a QR code, and if you are a Baltic company interested one day to be on this panel, please look at the QR code and register yourself. We'll get in contact with you and see how you can be part of the supply chain and a future panelist on this exciting panel topic. So, to my panel. There is onshore wind, there is offshore wind, and we'll talk about both today. We'll start with onshore, and first question is about already established sectors. And Kaspars, may I ask that how are the established companies like UPB part of the wind energy sector? Your experience?
Yeah, first of all, obviously, to be in the last panel, it's always a pleasure because if there's some people in the room that they really care about that.
Absolutely.
So it means that they're going to listen. But if we get to the stable industries, let's say so. We saw already on the Bible's presentation that there's a correlation between the consumption of the energy and the wealth of society. And how does it happen? It happens mostly because the big manufacturing, data centers, etc., goes where they have a stable access to the energy. Because for any investment, you have to have the stable access to the energy. During the last maybe 15 years, more or less, we have talked, and now from talking already into action, to create not only sustainable energy, but also to make it green. Mm-hmm. So that is definitely, let's say, the whole wide benefit for exporters, not only UPV, but a lot of exporters, that we see that if there is going to be sustainable green energy, that we will be able to produce, let's say, precast concrete, glazed facades, etc., that we export to most of the Scandinavia, UK, etc., then obviously that will increase our competitive advantage because CO2 will matter, and we have to provide the EPC certificates for every panel that we create, how much CO2 we created on that. And energy is definitely a part of, and a quite big part of energy consumption, and the type of the energy that we use. So even if you're not a company directly related to the renewables, you still will benefit from the energy accessibility in Baltics. That's definitely a plus. And then if we go For the next more connected to exactly to the onshore phase, then I would say as a UPP, one side is a construction company. So obviously in a construction business, it's always bad. Because either there's no work to be done, and so it's very bad, or it's too much work, and it should be, so it's also, again, very bad. It's never good. But realistically, if you see that, say, there is a market for the apartments or offices, etc., and you see that the demand there, because of the high tariffs and taxes and the bank costs, Euribor is high, the demand is low, so everybody looks at, okay, now it's the bad times. But then you can see, okay, there's different type of the industry who does not go through the same cycle, who has different cycles. So you can actually switch from the one construction to the another construction if you have obviously technical experience, people, etc. But that is a very direct benefit that you can see, okay, apartments last year not that good, so but energy sector very good, and then you can switch in that and somehow get out of this vicious cycle that it's either boom in the market and you have no resources, or it's market crash and nobody needs anything. So and this is, I would say, for the construction sector is something that is very promising for the future multiple years on onshore and later on then also on offshore.
Mm-hmm. Thank you. And before we go forward, I'd like to ask you a follow-up question that what are you getting involved in exactly in the onshore wind business?
Yeah, we do design and build mostly, so it is design of the substations, construction substations, design of the cables, design of foundations and building the cables and all of that. So obviously design and build the concept in Latvia is relatively new in general. It's not totally new, but it's relatively new because it always has been design, bid and build. But it's maybe not the best concept from the perspective from the customer's perspective, actually, because you have a designer, then you have the construction company, and it's always like construction company says, hey, there's an error in design, it's gonna cost extra, and designers say, oh, you didn't tell me exactly, so it's not my fault, and then the customer gets squeezed, and then it's like you renovate your apartment. When your handyman comes and does something, oh, we need to change everything. This is not going to work. So, so to avoid this situation, one agreement actually where it's design and build. So if we made a mistake in design, we have to fix it during the construction. So it's one responsibility. So therefore, from the speed and customer safety perspective, I would say this is a better concept. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Thank you. And so from foundations, we'll climb up a little bit to the blades. And Matīss, please introduce your company and how the chemical industry is part of wind.
Yes, thank you. We're up to blades, and it's very important that we think also about the full life cycle of the turbine. And Phazerbreak coatings, although we are a very niche company, manufacturing materials for wind turbine blades in cold climates, I think it's important to take into consideration the full scale of the service side of the turbine blades, right? Because once the turbine is built, we hope that it will be profitable and it will be working as it should throughout its life cycle, right? So we see a lot of sites with 20 plus more years that are still profitable. And that's where we come into play. Our materials, protective coatings are used both in the manufacturing of the blades and also for already erected turbines. Yes, just to understand the scale, let's say for one of our partners, this quarter alone, they will be supplying products for 4,000 turbine blade repairs. So the turbine blade undergoes extreme severe weather conditions. Erosion is inevitable, so it's crucial for now for chemical companies, both large and small, to continuously develop more durable and efficient materials for turbine blades so that they continue to be profitable. We see that on the newer turbines, the manufacturer a lot of times is reliable for the service under the warranty. But we see that the service side of turbine maintenance is also boosting the Latvian economy thanks to Aerons, who is revolutionizing the maintenance of the wind turbines by doing it predictive. And also our materials are applied using their robots up tower. So yeah, although it's, like I mentioned, it's a niche thing, there still are more than 1,500 turbines that undergo icing problems in both Latvia and north, and even in some higher elevations in France and so on. So that's what we do. We have a really good geographical position in Riga to distribute our products efficiently to wind sites. And yes, ultimately, somebody also has to apply it. There are people involved in service. There's also labor involved, people. We are seeing first technical blade experts coming from Latvia now. The Global Blade Expert Service Group had a meeting last week in Riga, which I think is a huge success. So although, yeah, we are manufacturing chemicals, I think we are on a very good path to have a local resource to maintain our turbines properly throughout its life cycle so that our farms here can be managed efficiently and are profitable throughout with implementing different chemicals and maintenance procedures.
Great to hear. Loads of opportunities already from
Right.
the first two panelists. We'll go forward to offshore as well and look at what opportunities offshore wind can bring. And as there was a panel discussion earlier about the Baltic offshore and how that is developing. So in parallel to the developments, there is also going on port development, and ports are seeing opportunities for them. And Anni, Estonian Maritime Industry Association, led an Estonian-Latvian study on harbors. Please tell us about it.
I maybe start a little bit from further history. Our association is, our members are mainly marine industry companies, shipbuilders, boat builders, marine technology developers, naval architecture bureaus. And at one point we noticed that we have quite many harbors and marinas infiltered to our members list because apparently we had some common interests. And we have welcomed them as marine industry sees harbors as one of the main facilitators of marine industry, startups, etc. And when then in about 2-3 years ago, where superfishes are of offshore wind areas were emerging, then suddenly you look at the map and you see that, wow, we shall have some kind of new business going on in Gulf of Riga now. We have never had it. We had only boats sailing here, but now we have suddenly an offshore industry wants to emerge. So we wondered, are there any opportunities for marine industry? And the next thing, we noticed that the discussions started about port developments, mainly construction ports. There are basically 3 ports that can be considered near our region in Estonia and Latvia: Paldiski, Ventspils, Liepaja. So this was, at first it seemed very attractive, but then we learned that, oh, this is a big harbor that will be built up, that used for 4 or 5 years and then left totally for 30 years. We don't want to have it here. You don't want to see it in small places and small communities. But there are also offshore and maintenance harbors, and that is quite attractive. So, and then the fatal thought appeared that maybe Latvians think so too. what if they are planning their investments right now? Because it was obvious that at least some of Estonian marine area planned offshore wind farms were perfectly manageable from Latvian harbors. So we must cooperate. And then opportunity came and we wrote a project proposal to Interreg Estonian-Latvian program. Also, it was co-funded by Saaremaa municipality. And now the project is ongoing. And last year we formed a survey because the ground survey for harbors development and the questions that we were interested in were what are actually the likely places that will be attractive for offshore wind farm operators? Actually, really, what are the terms that they expect? What is the ideal harbor for them? Do we have any such harbors nearby? What kind of investments would be needed to upgrade them? Then we wanted to know, will this kind of emergence of new business somehow destroy established businesses like marine tourism, fisheries? Will the functionality of the harbors change? And third, can we cooperate somehow with Latvia? So yes, now the survey is ready. It is public, and everybody can read it if you can find it. It's not very widely published or advertised. We don't have funds for that. But yeah, we are now quite pleased, and 3 municipalities are using actually this survey to now to form their own local government level harbor development plans. These are Saaremaa, Hiiumaa, and Talsi region in Latvia.
Thank you. Really interesting, right? I hope that if you get some ideas or questions, you use the Slido, and please, it will come to my pad here, and I can ask those your questions and put it to the panel as well. Please use that opportunity. And now I'm really happy to welcome Frank from Norway. Welcome to Riga. Great to see you here. We spoke before, and I learned that you have a lot of experience in this world. Please share the Norway's and your experience with us.
Yeah, for the offshore wind, I guess. Thank you very much for having me. We are a delegation from Norway here through Norwegian Energy Partners. So we visit Helsinki on Tuesday, and we were in Tallinn yesterday and Riga today. So it's great to meet both officials from the embassies and also businesses and discuss the possibilities that are in the Baltics and the Nordics for developing offshore wind. The Norwegian experience in renewable energy, you are quite familiar with that already. We have a lot of hydropower, clean, cheap hydropower that has actually built the industry in Norway from the beginning of the 20th century, actually. So, of course, then we found oil in the late 60s. We are a shipping and maritime nation from fisheries. And of course, having offshore wind coming in as a possibility for the Norwegian industry is very, very good at the moment, because we need a transition from oil and gas. We need to activate all of these expertise that are in these businesses in the oil and gas sector into a new sector when actually oil and gas is going to decline the next decades. And of course, we don't have a lot of offshore wind yet in Norway, but just one example of how Norwegian companies have been able to catch projects outside Norway due to their competence in oil and gas in the maritime sector. In 2022, the export value for Norwegian companies to offshore wind was 2 billion euros. In 2023, it was 4 billion euros. In 2024, we don't have the numbers, but it looks like around 7 billion euros. And what are they doing? Well, they are building ships and exporting ships for the offshore wind business globally. And they are building substations for offshore wind farms. And a lot of companies, also together with us here, are serving operation maintenance tasks in wind farms in other countries. So what we see the perspective in Norway is both serving and collaborating internationally, and of course developing the 30 gigawatt of offshore wind that the government has stated that Norway will have developed by 2050 or ready for 2040. I don't think that will happen because we are already a little bit behind the schedule. One example, we have been mapping the need of people and what kind of people is needed in the full project life of an offshore wind farm from the cradle to the grave. A 1.5 gigawatt reference wind farm, that is 100 turbines of 15 megawatt each. If you have that floating, one turbine have a floater, a floater that is the size of a drilling platform. And imagine if you're going to build 100 drilling platforms, you need harbor facilities, you need storage capacity, you need all the workers that are building these platforms. The turbines will come from other countries, not built in Norway. Probably the part of the foundations will be built other places, like, for example, the substations that are being topside installed in Norway, but they are built in South Korea or in Asia and towed to Norway, and the topside is done in Norway. So this is a huge international collaboration to actually be able to run these projects. As the reference projects, 1.5 gigawatt, requires approximately 20,000 full-time employee man-years. That's a 1.5 gigawatt. Of course, 40% of that is connected to the assembly and construction phase and installation phase. But then you have the long tail with the 25 to 35 years of operation maintenance. And of course, that competence is connected partly for the seafarers that you are educating, because 24% of the people working in an offshore wind farm is seafarers, actually. That's correct. So it's a huge number of people. But you need all kind of people in the different phases. But my guess is that for the Baltic countries, the main focus will be on getting the competence to the people that are operating and maintaining the long phase of this. You really need to train a lot of people because the demand of people, of technicians in this market is growing so fast. In Europe, only the next 5 years, the number of people, new people needed in the wind industry in Europe is around 200,000 in total. And there is a struggle today to actually get the technicians. They could choose, the experienced technicians, they could choose which company they go to. They go to the companies with the best SOEs, the best lugars, and the highest salaries. So what we really need to do, both of us, because we run a training and education center as well, is to educate much more people for the turbine-specific tasks, especially.
Indeed. Thank you so much. And that leads us to Novikontas perfectly. It was a year ago I came to WindWorks, and I met a colleague of Aleksejs, and he said, "Let's go, I will show you." And somehow off I went in Riga. You have a wonderful training center. They are super open. Anybody who would like, I'm sure they would welcome you to visit them. Novikontas, please tell us, what do
Hello,
you
good
do?
day. Thank you, Tina. Yes, in the first Novikontas, it's 20 years old company, education and training company. First, we start to train the maritime industry and the seamen. And 10 years ago, we opened a new division. It's Novikontas Energy. This is all which mean we talk about wind industry, offshore, onshore industry. Yes, and now in this moment, after 10 years, we have one of the biggest offshore, onshore training center in Europe. Yes, and if you talk about people, about technician, only in last year we train approximately 6,000 technicians here. It's approximately 4,000 into newcomers, yes, and 2,000 guys who now work in industry. Yeah, it's main what we do. Yeah, all guys who involved in wind industry must have some specific certificate. It's 95% about safety. Yes, and about 5% is skills. Yes, we give skills too. And how it say, colleague, yeah, we must be thinking about future. We must be thinking about people, which we must be start preparing now. Yes, because for a lot of the company, all big company, one of the big problem for all need technicians with experience. Yes, technicians with experience, but Latvia, Lithuania, Estonia is too small. We don't have a lot of technicians with experience, and we don't have a time preparing these guys. But we all must be thinking about newcomers and how we're preparing all together newcomers and good guys. Thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. So this brings us to the skills topic, that as a new industry and emerging industry, we need to develop the skills how, for example, in Norway is the skills development done now?
Well, we need a lot of more vocational trained young people, and that's a challenge because, well, many young people choose to take the academic route. Well, we need that also, but the struggle is to have, for example, not enough people that take electronics, everything with electrons, because that is a high demand, and that is also what you basically need for as a wind technician. They have a base load with electronics, and then you upskill them. But I think we need to take care of the needs better. The young people not in employment or education between 20 and 30 years. In Europe, the average is around 18% in this group of people is not working and is not in education. They are staying at home, playing games, and we need to help them and run programs where the government supports the training program, the industry recruits them through a training program, and that we have actually done now for 4 years with great success. Educate them, upskill them, pick the right candidates that have the basic skills in place, and then upskill. And I think also what we will see more of is that we have transition reskilling programs for example, fishermen, for miners from the coal mines, and etc. So we need to use, because the birth rate is going down, we don't have enough people. We have to utilize the people that's there, and we need to get the young people also to choose more vocational pathways and support the schools that are doing this. And the industry must also support the schools with equipment, with expertise, and involve themselves in the apprenticeship programs, etc.
Absolutely, yeah. Thank you. I would like to introduce one more topic, and that would be exports. How do you see the opportunities in this sector regarding exports? Maybe Kaspars.
Yeah, well, obviously, let's say if we look at onshore wind, then the export product could be either pure energy that you can distribute through the cables, etc. Then you can add value as a previous panel. We saw that hydrogen and then there's ammonium and then you have different options. What you can create with let's say cheap energy. But if we look on already there's a company mentioned, Ironis, or also the UPB case, we see, for example, in the Baltics and some other locations, there are challenges to deliver, let's say, the wind turbine masts. So therefore, again, this is the potential that we can test and create the mast prototype from concrete, precast. It's like Lego. You just put it in from round, let's say, the mast into 3 pieces. Then you ship it until the delivery place, and then you kind of concrete that together or glue it together. And that can solve the challenges if you have, let's say, the infrastructure who is not ready for the size of the wind turbine masts of today. Therefore, obviously, where there's new industry, there's definitely new challenges because nobody 50 years, 30 years ago expected that this will happen. Therefore, nobody can predict and design the old-time industry and infrastructure to fit the new needs. Therefore, there will be problems, and those problems can solve creative minds. And then the creative minds can create a business out of that and then sell it. And therefore, you can create export. I would say in Latvia, most of the companies who are now establishing, which is also a part of Latvian Exporters Association, we see the most of the companies use maybe Latvia as a test bed, but nobody sees Latvia as a market. They see the market is out there, like Ironis. They created here the robot that fixes and washes the blades, but their main market is US and Canada. So therefore, they made that robot when we had very, very little wind turbines, and because they looked, okay, we have one turbine, we can test on it, and then we can scale it to the world, because in the world there's going to be a problem. So with keeping that mindset and seeing that the challenges with onshore and offshore wind, definitely there's a place where new companies can be established and new business ideas can be exported.
Absolutely. And Novikontas, you also see that quite a lot of your people who come to train, I understand, are foreign companies.
I said 95% of all students, it's working around Europe, not from Latvia. Yes, it's from Latvia. Yes, if we talk about people, it's approximately 20%. We have guys from another country who go Latvia, pass a training in Latvia, and 80% in local guys. But 95% of this 80, it's work around the
exported.
Europe. Yeah, exported. Yeah. Okay, we have a 3 training center around Europe. We have in Lithuania, we have in Georgia. It's not already, but we have a Georgia, and still work in Ukraine. Now we started training again in Ukraine. We're preparing a technician now in Ukraine. But we wait new building in here, and Latvian technician can work in local place. It's better for us.
And Baiba, may I turn to you and ask that you've listened to what the supply chain is saying, and from the developer's point of view, how do you see the supply chain, and are there enough Latvian companies for you, for example, to work with?
Firstly, I would like to say thank you about this idea to collect all who are able and who wants to participate in supply chains. Because at this moment, when we are starting to develop all our projects, we are starting to look around what kind of the supply chain parts, if we can say so, we have here in Latvia, and where we need to look outside of Latvia, outside the Baltics. The first market is Latvia and Baltics and Scandinavia and then Europe. And we figure out that actually it's quite not easy to figure out who is doing what, which one we can use, because we are, of course, a little bit nationals in our hearts, and we want to use the in-house companies, if we can say so, but we don't know them. So it's really, really hard to find right now, so thank you for this project. But I believe that with each wind farm, what will be developed in whatever stage, the first study stage, then designs and construction, we will find more and more local supply chain participants, and we will use them more and more. But at this moment, it looks like that there's a puzzle on a table, and that just few puzzle pieces we can see, and we need a lot. And actually, as you are saying about the training centers, it's the large-scale problem in Latvia. It's renewable energy is the new business, new topic in Latvia, if we can say so, and there's really no experts in Latvia. I have experience also in other industries, and it's the same. We need to export, if we can say, import from outside some experts, and start to teach and train the national people, students and kids, because we will remain here. We will not be able to import all the time, all the supply chain pieces.
Thank you. Yes. One very important topic also is regarding the economy and what it brings to the economy. And I know that Anni, part of the Estonian Latvian harbor study, you also looked at socio-economic benefits.
Yeah, there are basically, for those who might not be that familiar with the service models of offshore wind farms, there are basically currently two models of maintenance for offshore wind farms. One is with crew transfer vessels called CTV, remember CTV? And another is service offshore vessel, SOV. So currently, these are quite different. We can't say that there will not be some kind of vessels in the future, that there's something in between, or how technology will develop. But with SOV model, the ships are big, about 700 meters. Their depth is 5-6 meters. They go to the offshore wind farm. They stay there for like 2 weeks, and then for shifting they come to harbor. So just change the shift, take fresh water and some more bread and beers, and go back to the wind farm. In this case, it is not necessary actually for those technicians to live in this place, in this shore where we have this offshore wind farm. With CTV models, the crew is taken in the morning, off to the sea, they do their work, come back, go home and sleep. And so every day. So this is socio-economically much more beneficiary in the first place. And another thing is that the developers and operators prefer this model very much, because it is 10 times cheaper. So it basically all comes down to the Excel table and the calculations whether investments to a decent harbor today will repay my operational costs for the next 30 years. But yes, in one very good Danish wind study, it was estimated based on Danish wind experience that and statistics, that 1 gigawatt of offshore wind energy equals about 45 technicians. It takes 3-4 CTVs. So I very much liked what you said with this creative minds and testbed idea. I personally think that the most beneficial or the ultimate socio-economic benefit from this kind of scenario would be that the 45 persons per 1 gigawatts are highly paid, averagely young, well-built, strong. They live, they live in this place where the offshore wind is, and they are smart. And it is quite, how to say, a rule of thumb that one such job creates another 5. And I calculated that in our marine areas in Estonia, Latvia, we have currently about 13 gigawatts planned about the park, so it would make like 500, 600 workers, right? And per one company, it is like 60, 70, 80 persons. This is doable for small places also. This is not as if I want to establish a big factory with 3,000 workers, please, tomorrow. So I like this idea that in the long run, it would be very, very, very beneficiary for our societies in this way. And those people will definitely make new startups someday and invent new drones and et cetera, et cetera.
Absolutely, and for small communities, that's a huge benefit and livelihood and everything. The NGO that I'm representing is actually based in Salatskriva in Latvia, who's also looking at the opportunities and from how much I know about it is that for small community, it can be really important. What is the Norwegian experience? I believe you also are set in a smaller community.
Yeah, for sure. But a little bit sad to say is that there is a direction going from CTVs to SOVs due to the fact that the wave height is an issue, especially in the North Sea. So most of the project will be with SOVs, but I agree with you. Having a base for the SOV with the managing organization for the wind farm at one base, one local place, preferably quite close to the offshore wind farm, could give many of the same benefits that you are talking about. But of course, in Norway, the offshore wind workers are rotating as the oil and gas workers, as you said, 14 days on and 14 days off. Well, the oil and gas workers, they have 4 weeks off, 2 weeks on. So that's, but I think we need the training programs and the awareness, the long-time recruitness. The governments must involve themselves, the schools, the industry, together to have a long-term plan for actually educate these smart people that will be the cornerstone of the operation maintenance phase for 25, 35 years. And so that's governance, that's politics, actually.
Indeed. We have one question that has come from the audience, and that's on offshore. What are the top 3 industries who will benefit from offshore farms? Who would like to?
Well, I could state, as I already said, for Norway, it's obvious that the oil and gas sector, we have 370 members in Norwegian Offshore Wind Cluster. It's the biggest supply cluster in Norway, industry cluster in Norway. And a lot of these companies, you see, these are maritime companies, these are oil and gas supply chain companies, these are the people that are working and serving offshore business today. So for sure, that's part of the supply chain will fit very, very good into the offshore wind supply chain. One example, when Hywind Scotland, the floating wind farm with 5 turbines, needed to do big component shift on all their turbines, they towed them to Norway, did the component shift there, towed it back. And that was done by a Norwegian oil and gas supply chain company. And they stated after this operation, quite costly, 100,000 million euro, 1 billion Norwegian crowns, sorry. They said that 90% of the operations was things that they already knew. It's only a small part of the operations that was actually the turbine-specific part. that they need to some external help from the turbine provider, but they said also that they had some smarter solutions based on their knowledge from the oil and gas that they implemented in this that the turbine providers didn't have in place. So I think there's a lot of synergies with the maritime sector and the oil and gas sector, obviously.
Okay, thank you very much. We are coming to the end of our time, and I would like to give each of you still a word that if there was something that you wanted to say that I didn't ask. So maybe I'll start with Paiva.
What we didn't said. So I would say we really need still thinking about this growth of GDP in Latvia. We really need to double the energy capacity, and all the supply chain will just earn of this one. If there will not be the renewable energy in Latvia, there will not be supply chain possibilities to earn of this one. So it's symbiosis, some kind of, but we really need to do to get wealthy country here.
Thank you. Kaspars?
Yeah, well, I would say just that I'm very happy that from this multiple years already, the WindWorks is happening. Then actually a lot of things are from panels already on the groundwork. So, and I'm just hoping that this drive that is currently in the government to legislate in the way that helps developers to actually develop the projects and therefore to increase that energy will stay there and will not have somehow drive shifts because previously I was also in the government, and then from that I can take that if you meet somebody who's saying that I'm from government and I'm here to help, you know, that's the most dangerous words. So currently, I really hope that legislation is going to go in the way that they do not disturb the already happening projects and support to have new projects. Yeah.
Perfect. Matīss?
Yeah, let's continue to educate the locals to have more professionals, chemical engineers, university guys look towards wind. There's endless opportunities for new ideas, startups, technologies, chemicals. Just looking at Aarons, how they are revolutionizing from different programmers and software engineers, so that once we have all this power built, we are sure that we have local people taking these jobs and looking after these turbines and boosting the local economy, essentially.
Great. Anni?
I would underline the importance of Baltic collaboration. We have Testbed Estonia project too, by the way. So we have 3 tiny Baltic countries. Everybody is playing in their little sandbox. Let's have a bigger sandbox. And also, when it concerns educating, okay, we need in the near future, maybe, because we don't yet have any wind farms, right? Yeah. Maybe we will need a lot of technicians for offshore or whatever wind turbines, but in what language should they speak? If the maintenance harbor will be in Salatskrīva for CTVs, in Latvian maybe, but if the maintenance CTV model harbor will be in Sõrve Peninsula, those should speak Estonian. With Latvia, no
all
way.
technicians speak English, it's no problem.
They all speak English anyway. So just cooperation even in the sense of let me know what your government decided yesterday. It is useful information for me, you know, just communication.
Mm-hmm. Thank you.
Yeah, and actually I was thinking the same, and not even the collaboration internally in the Baltics, but in the Nordic and in the full region. And we are running 2 European projects next year. We'll set up a Nordic collaboration project where we are going to invite partners from the Baltics also on the topic of education and workforce development for offshore wind in the Nordic region. So that could be a possibility to.
And Estonia is Nordic also, so.
Yeah,
Great.
exactly.
Okay, I think it's a main government must be thinking about population in Latvia, Lithuania, Estonia. He can preparing, I don't know, I think how they can all stay in Latvia and work in local market, yes, and not go another country. But we must be thinking about this. And we think how train these guys and new technician for industry.
That's great. Thank you all so much. I hope that we have been able to showcase you that whether you're big or small, you can still get into the supply chain and offer the developers your products and services. That was our aim. We really welcome you to join the Baltic Directory for wind energy supply chain. And also from my side, I work a lot with international companies. I represent the Dutch offshore wind cluster in the Baltics, and I see how the companies from abroad come to look at business opportunities, cooperation opportunities with you guys, all of you, that let's put all of our effort together and make a good directory for our own use and also for the international cooperation. So thank you very much. And yeah, that's the end of this panel.
Thank you.